Welcome, Puneet. We don't have much time, so let's just start with the grilling.
Absolutely. Always ready for grilling from ET.
Yes. Puneet, I'm just going to start by talking about this event that we had recently, almost a week back from today, where we saw states and industry coming together to pledge commitments a little over 540 gigawatt, and also investment announcement of about 32.45 lakh crore. This was the RE Invest, which happened in Gandhinagar. You know, these are big numbers, right? And what do these mean for India? Where are we headed?
So thank you, Shilpa, for getting us started with probably the most important thing, which is what the landscape of India renewable look like. I come from a time when I had started into the industry when there was less than 100 megawatt of solar on ground, right? This was 2010. Today we are on 80 gigawatts of solar that anybody in their right minds would have considered insane at that point. And today probably when you see that there is a 500 gigawatt target that has been taken up by the government, on top of that there is a green hydrogen which will require another 150 gigawatt, and on top of that there is green ammonia which will require another 10 gigawatt and so on. These numbers seem bewildering, but if one thing India has shown over the last decade, that no number will be too small considering the next decade that is to follow. Add to that the fact that our power consumption is only increasing by even conservatively 5-7% a year. Add to that the fact that this power consumption can the fastest be met by renewable energy. Add to that the fact that India's position in the world geography is such that we are blessed to have immense solar. So you put all of these things together, and if India is to grow as a superpower that it is growing, there's no other way than to meet the target. So, inshallah, God willing, Chardi Kala mein sare target meet zarur honge. But the way I see it is that it's a golden age for Indian solar and renewable in general.
Well, absolutely. I think the way the power demand is growing, I think there is room for, all sources to grow. We did hear in the previous session people talking about nuclear power and its contribution along with hydro, pumps, solar, etc. We'll be touching upon those as well. So being one of the major EPC players in the solar segment, what are the supply challenges that you see coming in the next few years? You know, with these big numbers, there comes bigger challenges when we have big targets. So with policies like ALMM, which was earlier for modules and now for cells, also help in some way?
So the way I see it, Shilpa, is that we are in a growing stage, and since we are in a growing stage, there will be growing pains, and supply chain, even the most sophisticated supply chains have been subjected to disruption over the last 3 years because of COVID first, and of course, regulations also have an impact on that. So there is absolutely no doubt that these kind of issues will keep on cropping up now and then. But are they going to be able to derail the train that we are on? I don't think that is going to ever happen either in the past or that is going to happen in the future. As far ALLM is concerned, or the lack of it earlier in the last decade was concerned, so I think for a very, very long time, the priority was to try to get to the least cost of solar unit, right? And because we were wanting to get to the least possible price of solar in the benefit of the nation, so that is why people were willing, or the policies of the country was willing to take imports from other parts of the world without any duties. But now, as the world has opened up to the new realities that if you want to be truly energy independent, it also means independent supply chains. So that's where the policies of ALMM have to kind of come in. And I think considering the huge enthusiasm that has been shown by some of the bellwether names in our industry to set up these projects for domestic OEM manufacturing as well, God willing, we should not be having any shortage of capacity anyway.
Right. So Gensol was effectively started in 2012, though you date back to 2007. You've seen this transition unfold in front of you. So, you know, your EPC segment has also seen tremendous growth. Where are you headed from here?
So I think all of our expansions to date have been equally an element of necessity as it is an element of ambition to them. So we started as consulting players to many of the good names that we see in the room around us today. From consulting, we got into EPC because that was the need of the hour, and thoda wo consulting ke profit se you were able to have enough capital to get into EPC projects. From EPC, we got into operation and maintenance क्योंकि किसी को तो maintain करने वो projects, and we became the largest ISP in India. From there, we got into software. The next wave was electric mobility. We got into that. So one dot has connected to the other over a period of time. And if I was to take a bold call into the future and see where the future is headed, I think energy storage is going to be a huge part of it, considering that the duck curve of India, the Indian power duck curve is only getting from bad to worse, considering the huge amount of renewables that are getting connected to the grid. I think green hydrogen is going to be a huge part of the future, simply because we import roughly 3,000 crore rupees of oil and gas every day. Right, so 3,000 crore rupees में तो 1,000 megawatt solar हर रोज लग सकता है. Right, it's such a huge capacity. So green hydrogen as a replacement to oil and gas import, amongst other things, is going to be a big part of the future. And those are also the bets that we as a group have taken in the future as well.
Of course, you've taken many bets. I can, sort of see that you've not left anything out. You spoke about green hydrogen, but green hydrogen currently, where we stand, there's a global offtake problem, which often comes up in our talks with the industry. What is your take? How long will it take us to come to a commercially viable price?
So, if you look at green hydrogen from the perspective of a feedstock, I think we are today already in the territory where we can go ahead and supply green hydrogen as a feedstock to multiple industries. Maybe the next thing to open up is going to be maritime shipping, where you will expect green hydrogen to be there. You end up looking at CBAM mechanism of European Union, and things like green steel, even today, will be able to export into European Union. So there are always these pockets which will be profitable. Now, admittedly, the world has announced 1,600 projects, and even if 1/4 of them end up coming up, it will be a huge feat. Right? The history tells us in the last year or so that hardly 12% of the announced projects are able to survive the mortality rate. Right? So, but this is the choppy waters are to be expected in any new sector that opens up, and green hydrogen that way is no different. Is green hydrogen going to be the fuel of the future? I think that big picture, as long as that is intact, the rest of the dominoes will fall into place themselves.
Sure. You were recently in California. You were attending a summit. Tell us more about it, and what kind of response did you get there? And for companies, Indian companies, what is the opportunity overseas?
I think everybody knows that now iPhones are manufactured in India, and very soon I think you will see the other commodity which is rivaling China from India, which is solar panels. Right? So you will find probably more Indian solar panel manufacturers in the US than you would find American solar panel manufacturers over there. Right? But that said, coming to the opportunities that we see over there, you see the market is already twice as large as India. Instead of 80 gigawatts of solar, we have 150 gigawatts of solar over there. In addition to that, the fact that Inflation Reduction Act in the US has opened up so many doors that in the last 1 year, the amount of investments that have gone into solar in the US are more than the last 10 years combined. Right? So it will be foolhardy for us as an industry not to take advantage of such a huge opportunity which is outside. The two places where we have made some early moments in the US market are our tracker business, where we'll be soon exporting our technology and setting up trackers. 9 in 10 projects over there in the US are built with tracker technology. And the second is our operation and maintenance services business, where we see it can be a 10 to 20 times larger market than what we have in India.
How does tracker help in India?
I'm so sorry.
How does the tracker, solar tracker, help you with you in the Indian project?
So the more you go farther away from the equator, the fact that much like a sunflower, a tracker is able to follow the direction of the sun, and as a result can give you a gain between anywhere in the range of 10 to 25% is a big upside that you can get in your renewable energy project. Add to that the fact that if you are constrained by land, a tracker project requires less land. Add to that the fact that if you are also going to have a 24-hour electricity supply, a tracker technology is able to give you a much smoother power curve, much flatter power curve, there are multiple and more ways in which tracker technology enables the energy transition.
Sure. You talked about venturing into the electric vehicle segment. Blue Smart is a big name already, and then my personal favorite as well. Thereafter, you've also gone into EV manufacturing. Tell us more about it. Tell us what kind of cars we can see in the future. What are the models going to be like? What's the pricing going to be like?
Okay, this is turning into a market analyst call. Uh, See, as far as the electric mobility journey is concerned, the electric mobility journey for us was on the same lines that we were able to connect the dots on solar, right? And so in solar, we saw that we are seeing huge improvement of technology, leading to huge decrease in price, leading to mass adoption. About 4 years back or 5 years back, we took the same bet on electric mobility that again, huge improvement of technology will lead to huge decrease in price, and that should lead to mass adoption. Now, arguably, we are probably one of the largest beneficiaries of this technology trend that we had seen. About 2 years back, we were also able to appreciate that 70% of our rides are single passenger rides in Blue Smart, right? And currently, there is not a single car platform that serves that ride. There's not a single car in the market which is affordable at a price point that it can truly become a mass mobility market. So we thought that it will be an interesting bet for us to take in the electric mobility. I think this would be after decades, maybe after 4 decades, that an indigenous OEM player has tried to come into the car market, right? And yeah, we hope to make something out of it.
Great. Are you looking to export as well?
Let's say never.
All right. I think the audience has also really, since morning, talked about or heard about the energy storage systems, and you've also recently gotten into it. We are seeing that the price discovery in the FDRE tenders as well as the solar and storage tenders are actually sort of coming down. Where are we headed when it comes to storage?
So I think everybody in the IPP business who's owning the storage projects is currently the huge beneficiary of the exponential price decline that is happening. In part because of improvement of technology, but also in part because of simply overcapacity that has been set up. And till such time that this trend is lasting, not only Gensol, but everybody in the industry who's looking to invest in renewables and batteries is going to take advantage of that. Right, so that's just where I think we got a little lucky, right? We had been researching the sector for about 2 years now, so we had a pretty good idea of the pulse of the pricing. But on top of that key, when we actually got an order in hand, we were able to negotiate. Then on top of that, our order book increased. On top of that, there are other owners who were willing to give us their orders. So our scale of negotiation further increased. So I can only tell that anybody who is getting into energy storage market today is definitely going to make good money, and that nobody, no matter what the noise is around, the tough tariffs and is it sustainable, I can guarantee you the fact it's super sustainable and profitable to get into storage today.
Amazing. When we talk about 500 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030, we also have to touch upon the challenges that the industry is facing, especially when it comes to connectivity, like transmission. In the earlier panel also, we heard about right-of-way issues, and as well as, somewhat lack of signing of PSAs of certain capacities that were already being tendered. So tell us what kind of challenges you have faced, and how immediate can we find a solution to that?
The way I see it, again, a part of the growing pains answer is the electricity grids also. I think there was a study published in 2022 that the Indian electricity grids are amongst the most resilient grids in the world, right? Now, no way am I saying that there is no scope of improvement. I think the gentleman on the absolute right in the last session did give us a very good idea about all the weaknesses that are there and all the places of improvement that we need to do. So there's a long way for us to go, but Indian grid is able to transport 100 gigawatts of power from one corner of the country to another corner of the country even today. right? And this is saying when we already have, India has got 400 gigawatts of installed power, thermal and renewable all combined. So by no means are in a bad state. We are having a 99% uptime already. That said, if we are going to meet those ambitious targets, as you very rightly pointed out, we can definitely not be sitting on our haunches, we cannot be sitting on our laurels. We need to make sure that the capacity keeps on getting expanded. The Green Corridor a couple of years back was a great step in that direction, and I believe it's a huge success. The ISTS tenders that we are getting means that we are decoupling renewable energy growth from the distribution side and focusing more on transmission, which is already our strength. I think Indian transmission system is probably the most sophisticated and sensor-rich transmission system that exists in the whole world. So there are a bunch of these opportunities that we are already doubling down on. Long way to go. I would say that we are probably a 6, 7 on 10. There's a long way for us to still go ahead.
Sure. One thing that also comes up when we talk about challenges is the manpower challenge, which also again was touched upon in the earlier panel. What has your experience been, and how does a country like India resolve that?
So I've got a slightly counter view to the manpower topic. In a typical 100 megawatt project that we maintain, we have got about 25 security guards, we have got 18 technicians, 2 site managers, we have got 1 HAC expert, 1 HV expert. You know, for 100 megawatt that is managed in US, how many people, including surveillance and security and everything else, is there? 2 people. Right? 2 people are able to do the work of 40 people that we try to deploy in India. So I think there is a huge element of efficiency itself that is yet to be unlocked, whether that be using digital means or whether that be by better skilling of people, upskilling of people and so on. That itself is there. We are able to do it because at our cost of labor, it is possible to deploy 40 people and still have the lowest cost of operations or construction in the world. Right? But that is not a way a superpower is going to be created. So if India is to become a superpower, we need to have a much better productivity of the people. And to that effect, there is a lot that we can do. On top of that, all the reskilling initiatives that the government has done, the focus on vocational education, that vocational training that the government is having, are all building blocks that help us in meeting that final end objective.
Right. You also mentioned about green hydrogen, and your company Matrix Gas and Renewables has recently also won some capacity in the site scheme. What is the way forward? How do you see Matrix, when it comes to green hydrogen and its derivatives?
I can only say that there was 300 megawatt, which was the maximum capacity that we could have won. If there was a 3,000 megawatt tender that we could win, we would have won that too. We are that bullish about green hydrogen and the scope that green hydrogen has in the overall growth journey of the country. Again, I come back to my original thesis that if you need to do decarbonization at scale, you need to be able to replace fuel going into steel, you need to be able to replace fuel going into maritime shipping, you need to be able to replace ammonia as a source of fertilizers, and all of this is kind of linked to green hydrogen and the wonders that it packs. So like we were fortunate with solar to grow on back of a great curve, we were fortunate with electric mobility. The same trend we are hoping to follow in green hydrogen as well.
Okay, just our time's almost up. Last question is, what kind of challenges are you facing when it comes to, expanding your businesses into a sector which is still sort of new, and many technologies that we have are still commercially not proven? That's one. Second, what is the advice that you would like to give to some of the startups that wants to come and try their hands in the space?
Okay. First, answer the kind of challenges and opportunities that are out there. हम तो zero capital से शुरू हुए थे, and today the group is doing fairly well for itself. We have presence in 3 continents. We have got 2,000 people in the team who work every day very hard for a sustainable future. So I don't think that it's so much about the challenge that is there as it is about the enjoyment of going through those challenges and journey the entire time. I think every day our team wakes up in the morning super inspired to make an impact. whatever challenges be there, whether that be grid or people or capital or lending or policy or stability, all of this is expected from a fast-growing sector like ours, and we are equally responsible to solve them along with our industry stakeholders. The one thing that I think we did at our end was, जब हम शुरू हुए थे हमारे पास कुछ नहीं था, so we didn't really have the capital to become a player. So we were the guys who were selling shovels during gold rush. राइट जो अगला वाला गोल्ड रश है बैटरीज का ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन का वहाँ पे भी इंटेंट टू बी अ प्लेयर एज मच गोल्ड डिगर्स एज सेलिंग शवल्स सो दैट्स व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू डू विद रिस्पेक्ट टू योर एडवाइस ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स I think this is the golden era for the energy space. I don't think the energy space, the electrification space has seen the kind of disruption that we are seeing over the last 10-15 years ever in the past, right? For the longest time, the transformers were what they were 50 years back. The transmissions were what they were 50 years back. Nothing really changed before solar, wind, and now storage, green hydrogen disrupted the entire scene. Like AI is disrupting computing, so is energy by renewables and BESS and green hydrogen. If we do not, and this is a great equalizer, right? And if, great equalizer in the sense that everybody is starting from zero. So now is a golden era to get started. And I'm sure there'll be 10 years down the line, 20 startups sitting on the stage talking about their own multi-billion-dollar stories.
Yeah. On that positive note, I would like to thank Puneet. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shilpa. Thanks a lot.
In fact, when we started, I thought we'd be more like a sort of broken record. But thank you. It was really, really different perspectives. So thank you so much.
Big believer of the India story, ma'am. Thank you so much.